Hello guys, Joel's here and welcome back to Mystery Lake. Here we are today with a new deck from Unbroken Bonds, meaning that is based on a new card that came out from Unbroken Bonds, which is of course the one that you can see here, so the Greninja&Zoroark Tag Team GX. So the card brings back in the format an attack, Dark Pulse, which was already existent, which has been already part of the Pokemon TCG competitive scene. But yeah, the deck before I was not playing at the time, but I've heard that the deck that before was using this kind of strategy, this kind of attack before, and on his side, and some other cards that helped the archetype do well in the format. These cards are not there today, but nevertheless, this card is a lot. There are other tech cards that can be used for to reach success with this kind of deck. So, but let's first go through the single card, the Greninja&Zoroark GX. So, the main attack, of course, is the Dark Pulse GX, the Dark Pulse, sorry, that deals 30 damage plus 30 more damage times the amount of the dark energies that you have in play attached to all of your Pokemon. This is not bad, so you can reach a potentially infinite amount of damage. But of course, it depends on how many energies you can fit. You can have contemporary in play. And we will see later that there are some ways to have all in one turn, all at the same time, to have plenty of energies in play and do a bazillion amount of damage with this card. And that would be also thanks to this Dark Union GX. So if you look at it like this, it might seem a less powerful GX than all the other ones, because you have the Reshiram Charizard GX that deals 300 damages if you do it boosted up, or otherwise it's 200, it's still a lot. Or Pikachu Zekrom GX, which is amazing. And here you don't have this high amount of damage. In fact, what the Dark Union GX does is just that you can put two in any combination of Dark Pokemon X or GX from your discard pile onto your bench. Even if they are evolved, even if they are stage 2 or stage 1, you put them directly on the bench. And if it has one extra energy attached to it, then you can bring back both the energy, both the Pokemon and the energy, and you get to attach to them two energy cards. So it might seem useless, honestly. To be fair, it might seem useless, but you realize that it's not when you think about the possible tech that you could put in this deck in order to help boosting up the Dark Pulse damage. Because one of these would be this great Incineroar GX, which is the last version, the one that came out with Team Up, rather than the one from the base set from Sun and Moon. Because this is the dark type, that one is a fire type. And the reason why this is such an optimal tech card to put in this deck is that through the Scar Charge ability, you can put 3 damage counters on it, and then assign 3 energies from the deck to this very Incineroar. So if you can imagine to have 2 of these Incineroar in the bench and use both abilities, you will get 6 energies like that in one turn. During the same turn, you will get 6 dark energies into play, which if you do the math with Greninja attack, it would be like 30, 60, 90, 180 plus 30 on the base damage. It's 210 damage at least. But since in order to be able to attack with the Greninja, you will have to have 2 energy attached to him, then it's the 30, 60, 90, 180 from the Incineroars, and 30, 60, 90 from the Greninja&Zoroark. So it's 270 damage total, which is a lot of damage. You can one-shot everything. You can KO everything by them. This is the reason why the Incineroar is so powerful. And the idea that we are doing, our idea in this deck, there are several versions of this deck. But what we are doing here is going to aim, what we are going to try to do, is to have a Dark Union GX turn 2, so that and before that we would have discarded at least 1, but possibly 2 Incineroars, so that we on the third turn, so if we turn 2, the first turn we can attack, we do Dark Union GX, then on the second one, on the one after, so the third, we will have already 270 damages to be done to the other Pokemon. And with 270 damage, you can one-shot the Reshizard, you can one-shot the Pikarom, you can one-shot really everything. You need to take care of the Gardevoir, Sylveon, because they have resistance to darkness. I'm not playing any choice band because first of all, there are not that many Dark Guardian in around, but more importantly, what you need, all you need to do is in order to get the KO with on them, even with the resistance, is just to attach another energy to someone. So it's not really a problem because, yeah, most of the time they will take a bit of turn to set up more than you. Also, they cannot one shot you with a Kaleidoscope attack, so it's not that best. It's not that bad of a matchup for this deck, the Guardian. And so the idea here, is, as I was saying, is to Dark Union GX as soon as possible. Get at least 2 Incineroar in the bench, but even one will do, most likely, most of the time will do the trick. And then attacking with the Greninja&Zoroark. Let's go through the other cards that we are replaying. The Upa, it's supposed to be, this, first of all, this will go out of the rotation in August, so we'll need to think of something else. But it's supposed to be a counter to those turbo deck that are extremely fast in setting up. Because, for example, yeah, it's true, at turn 3 we might have 270 damage and shot the Reshizard, but it's important to consider, because it's the truth, that turn 2 we will be attacked, and some Reshizard decks, if they have a bit of a good first turn in terms of end, if they have a good end on the first turn, they will be able to already deal at least 230 damage, but if not more, with a choice band or something else. So they might even they might even KO the Greninja&Zoroark on turn 2. So you might want to. This is supposed to be to put a patch to this situation, in which we can just put the Opa in front of the Reshizard to take the attack, so that if he does not have anything to swap, if he doesn't have a Goodsma, basically, if he doesn't have a Goodsma, so he cannot put the force the Greninja into the active position, then he cannot deal any damage with the Reshizard. So it's supposed to be a counter to this kind of very fast decks. Even the Pikarom, I think even with the Pikarom, this can help. The Dedenne GX, we have already seen it once in the Rhydon deck, and it's here for the same reason, because it's amazing. It's an amazing card that grants a lot of consistency. Here we have a double purpose for this Dedenne, not only to draw 6 cards when we put it into our bench, but also to discard them, because these discards are N. So in case we start, let's say, with one Incineroar and one Ultra Ball and one Dedenne, we can just use the Ultra Ball, take the other Incineroar, then ideally we would end up with 2 Incineroar and the Dedenne, and then we bench the Dedenne. Not only we draw 6 cards, but we also discard the 2 Incineroar for the Greninja to use the Dark Union GX. So it's clearly a good card here in this deck. I'm playing 2, before I was playing 3, I think. So as I said, also for the Rhydon list, these lists are not definitive. So, for example, I will also show another version of this one that I've been using recently. The Tapu Lele GX for the is kind of the same purpose of the Dedenne. You might go 3 Dedenne and no Tapu Lele GX, but it's not too bad to have the Tapu Lele GX to get the Lily or the Cynthia or even the Acerola in case you need it. Because the Greninja&Zoroark will be attacked quite a lot, and this is the reason, and as we will see later, that we're playing Max Potions and Acerola. Because yeah, even the Max Potion is fun because it just needs 2 energies, so it's not too bad. We can, for example, what happens to me most of the time is to retreat him, discard the 2 energies, get the 2 energies back eventually with a Naganadel, or well, in 2 turns, of course. But in the meantime, heal the Greninja&Zoroark with the Max Potion. And this is the reason why we are playing also this Naganadel. First of all, it's a very good card. We have seen it playing plenty of times, even in the Blacephalon GX deck. But in this case, it's perfect. It's particularly fine because eventually, as I said, the Greninja&Zoroark will be it. Sometimes he will even be KO'd mainly him more than the Incineroar GX, because the Incineroar GX it gives two prizes, whereas the Greninja&Zoroark gives three. So anyone would be inclined then at KOing this rather than this, especially because these are most of the time are in the bench. So when we retreat him or any other one, to be fair, or if he use a Mysterious Slash and discard an energy, for example, then we can get that energy back with the Naganadel, and it will help us in boosting our damage with the Dark Pulse, not by 30, because if we attach in one turn, we attach an energy, then we boost this attack damage by 30. But with an Naganadel, we boost it up by 60, because we can assign one from the hand and assign one with the charging up ability from the discard pile. So it's pretty straightforward why we are using this, and it can also be a good non-GX attacker for when we have 3 prizes. It happens. It happens most of the time, because if you do that, if you attack with this card, with an Naganadel, when you have 3 prizes and you get a KO, then you get 2 prizes left, and then you can just opt for a good, like aim at Guzma and using Guzma on one of your opponent's big GX in the bench and KO it with the dark pulse from the Greninja&Zoroark, and that would be game. So I like the Naganadel engine. We will see another version later which is not using that. So let's move on to the items. And well, for the items we have some interesting items, but most of the time most of them are really kind of well already seen. So we have the Acro Bike that not only gives speed up the deck a little bit by thinning it and getting in one card in your end. But also in extremely lucky cases in which we have, for example, if we have these at the early turns, maybe even at the first 2 turns, and we find that we use it and we find an Incineroar among the 2 cards, then regardless what's the second card, you take the second card and you discard Incineroar, and that it's another step forward into the direction of the Dark Union GX turn 2. So you can see that the leitmotif here is that you try to discard the Incineroar. You need to discard the Incineroar, and you have a lot of things that help you in doing that. And the DNA is one thing, Acrobike is another thing, but we have Mysterious Treasure, Ultra Ball. Mysterious Treasure, of course, we can discard one card, which would be ideally an Incineroar, to get either the Naganadel or the Poipole or the Tapu Lele GX, depending on what turn we are. And the same goes for the Ultra Ball. We are playing 4 copies of it because we want to discard the Incineroars and eventually, if necessary, some other cards, and get ourselves the Greninja or the Dedenne or whatever we need at the time. Then the Beast Ring. Maybe the Beast Ring 2 copies are not necessary, because what you do is to you can use these only when your opponent has 3 or 4 prize cards, right? And you assign 2 energies to one the Ultra Beast, which will be of course Naganadel or Poipole. But the thing is that by the time you can use these, you should have at least 1 or even most likely 2 Incineroars in the bench. So those 2 extra energies that you assign, they do not really matter 100%. Like they might not make a big difference. So that's why I'm saying maybe 1 is enough. 1 Beast Ring is enough for the cases in which you are not able to play 2 Incineroar, so you have 1, and you then use the Beast Ring to boost damage consistently with the Naganadel. So it's a good card, it's a consistent card, it's a consistent card for this deck, but maybe 2 is too high of an amount for that. The Energy Recycler, so I was not playing this card at the beginning, but I found myself in situations in which I had Pokemons, but I did not have the energies, and we are playing 12 energies, so it's quite a lot. But the thing is that this guy takes 3. This guy, and 2 of them takes both 3, so it's already 6 energies. This guy takes 2, it's already 8, and then you always have some energies in the prize. So eventually you might end up not running short of energies to attack. Also because you are aiming of having more than 1 Greninja&Zoroark set up at the same time, so that you can switch in between them quite easily. So that's why I put one copy of Energy Recycler to help in those kind of situations. Most of the time it would be a card that we might not use, so we might discard in order to get something else. But sometimes it will come in handy eventually. So what this card is, the Energy Switch is a card that I particularly like in this deck, because as I said, you want to have multiple multiple Greninja/Zoroark contemporarily set up. So it's the same reason. For the same reason, you might for this reason you need to be able eventually to get one of them up and running in one turn. And the way you can do that is that you get that you assign one energy to him, and then you get the other one through the energy switch from the Naganadel or the Incineroar. Because if you use Incineroar ability, you give him 3 energies, then you can just move one to the Greninja/Zoroark. Or even better, if you get 1 energy from the Naganadel, then you can play energy switch and move the energy from the Naganadel to the Greninja/Zoroark in the active. So this card is I like it particularly. Again, there will be another version which is playing less of these, because it's using another strategy to have the Greninja/Zoroark up and running in one turn. The max potion I already explained. The fact that we only need 2 energies to attack help us in using this item, because we can just retreat one of the Greninja/Zoroark, heal him up if in case he has like somewhere around 200 damage or something like that. Because we need to take care that whenever they get knocked out, they give 3 prizes to our opponent. So we need to make everything so that we need to try really hard and not letting our opponents KO 2 of them. Of course, if they knock out 2 of them, then we have lost. But the idea is to avoid gifting KOs on to our opponents on the Greninja/Zoroark, of course. I mean, it's self-explanatory, really. The Mysterious Treasure, as I've said, it's most likely useful to discard the Incineroar, and draw one of the 3 Psychic that we are playing. The Rescue Stretcher, we are playing 1 copies of it, and that would be most of the time, because we are playing just 3 Greninja/Zoroark. So we might sometime one good way of getting one in the hand could be to discard it and then draw it back with the Rescue Stretcher. Then we could also have it KO'd. So if one is KO'd, then we need to take the other. We need to take it back with the Rescue Stretcher if we cannot find a second one in the deck. So it's just the usual purpose of the Rescue Stretcher, honestly. Then we have 4 Ultra Ball that will help us in getting the Pokemon that we need and discarding the Incineroar. As for the stadium, we are playing just 2 copies. We're playing the Black Market Prism Star, which, to be fair, I was expecting it to be much more useful than it actually is, because basically what this does is that whenever a dark Pokemon is knocked out, that has dark energy attached to it, you take 1 fewer prize card. So, in other words, if the Greninja/Zoroark get knocked out, our opponents take two prizes instead of 3, which is very good. But the thing is that this card hardly stays in play for more than 1 turn, because there are so many stadium being played by everyone. There's a power plant that pretty much everybody's playing, the Thunder Mountain that all the Pikachu Zekrom are playing, the Heat Factory that all the Charizard are playing. There's really a lot of stadium, and there's even the Marshadow now, the new Marshadow that came out with Broken Bones, which has the ability to discard the stadiums. If you put it and you sacrifice him to discard the stadiums in play, and that works, of course, for Prism Star as well, because for example the Field Blower would not work on this. You would need to place another stadium, but now you can use the Marshadow too. I've not seen many people play that Marshadow, but it's there. So this card will now stay in play. No, most of the time will not stay in play for long. Of course, it's good to have it, because we can also, as I said, some of the decks are using other key Prism Star, like Thunder Mountain and Heat Factory, or Wondrous Labyrinth for the Gardevoir Sylveon. And with this, we can take them away. So it's still good to have it. And sometimes it can help prevent a loss after having 2 Greninja/Zoroark getting knocked out. The Ultra Space is, of course, used to get the Poipole and the Naganadel. The Acerola is a card that usually in a copy of 1, you put in every deck that is involving such high HP Pokemon, because again You really don't want it to be knocked out. So what would you do when the idea would be that you get attacked, you get you have like 50 HP left, and you just put use the Acerola and take the Greninja&Zoroark and the energies attached back in your end, so that you can then promote another, for example, another Greninja&Zoroark, attach one of the energies, use the energy switch for the other one, and you're already good to go with with a new Greninja&Zoroark, which has no damage counters on it. So that would be the idea. And then of course we have Cynthia, 2 copies of Cynthia, 3 copies of 3 copies of Guzman, 2 copies of Lily as regular supporter. Then we're playing the new Reds Challenge, which is yeah, this one is the full art, which is quite nice, in fact. And basically you can play this card only if you discard the 2 cards from your end. So as always, we're playing 2 copies of the Red Challenge, and as always the idea is to discard the Incineroar if we have them, and draw a card that we need, because we can get every card that we want. So this could be particularly, this is indeed a strong card, especially in this deck, because we can discard the Incineroar and get, for example, a dead end, because if we discard the Incineroar, maybe we are left with no end. Not that we care too much about the Incineroar, having the Incineroar in the end, but anyway, we can discard them and get the dead end. Or if we need, for example, an energy to attack with to do the Dark Union, we can even think of taking the energies with the Red Challenge. So the versatility that it offers, if maybe we have another supporter in our end already to be used next turn. So the versatility that these cards offer is quite high, and it's quite good to have in such a deck. Also the fact that it's another engine to discard card, as much as the Acrobike, Mysterious Treasure, Ultra Ball, and the then. And then we're playing the 1 copy of the Sightseer, which is a card that personally I don't like a lot, but it's still a supporter that lets you draw up to 5 cards, which is what I have here. No, it's more than 5, but okay. So it lets you draw until you have 5 cards in your end, and you can discard, but you can discard any number of cards from your end before. So eventually it has, well, it's still the same idea. We have Incineroar, we have 2 Incineroars, we discard them with the Sightseer, and we also get to draw something more. So we are playing only 1 copy. You could be playing 2, but then you will need to give up on the other supporter, because you cannot play, like, there are already too many supporters, if you ask me, in this deck. So eventually you could put 1 more of these and instead of one of the Lilies, but yeah, it's a matter of preferences really. And then for the tool, we are playing just a Choice Helmet and a Weakness Policy. The choice helmet is clearly to try and take and survive 1 attack from the Charizard, Reshiram Charizard, because if they do 200, it does 200, 230 or 200 with the GX. So if he does the choice band or you have some damage already on it, it will KO the Greninja&Zoroark in 1 attack. So with this we aim at avoiding that. Where the Weakness Policy is supposed to be, it's a counter for the fighting type. So for example the Zapdos that is playing with the Marshadow GX, or for the Buzzwole that is still there, or the Marshadow GX. So there are some weakness. There are some the fighting weakness is not the worst weakness to have, but it's not the nicest either. So we play 1 copy of this. Another tool that could be useful here, that you might want to squeeze it up, for example, instead of a Beast Ring, maybe, it's a Wishful Baton, because then you attach the Wishful Baton to Incineroar, let's say, if you are planning to use the Incineroar as an attacker. So you attach the Wishful Baton, then you attack with the Incineroar. When the Incineroar gets knocked out, you don't lose the 3 energies that you can eventually use and even assign to the Greninja&Zoroark to be able to attack and to boost the damage of the Dark Pulse attack. So this is it for this version of the Long Night, which is a Game of Thrones references, of course. And this is the second version that I will show you very briefly. It is playing less Pokemon, because we're not playing the Naganadel and Poipole here. We're playing just the Greninja and the Incineroar as attacker. And so, of course, We have reduced the amount of Mysterious Treasure because now we just need it for the Lele. We have reduced the amount of energy switch because we are now not going to use it from the Naganadel, and we added just the energy spinner to search the deck for energies in case we don't have them, either 1 or 3 if it's our second turn. We added the energy retrieval instead of the energy recycler because, to be fair, we don't need to put the energies into the deck. Actually, I might change that even in the first deck because we need the energies in the end, not in the deck. Yeah, and we added the field blower for consistency against some of the deck that I mentioned that are playing a lot of items and stadium. Because for example the power plant counters us quite a lot because we are playing 2 of these GXs that we need to, whose ability we really need, even the Incineroar. So we need a field blower for that. Of course, it's kind of instead of the Ultra Space because now we don't need the Ultra Space. So we have only 1 stadium to remove other stadium. That's why we are playing the field blower. We're playing here the Wishful Baton, as I said, and you can see here that we're playing 3 Fiery Energy, and that the idea is what I said at the beginning was that this was an alternative deck, an alternative solution to provide 2 energies in 1 turn to the Greninja&Zoroark to attack, because it needs only 1 dark energy, in fact. Even that guy. So they all require 1 dark energy only to attack, which means that we can also use the fiery. Also, although with the fairy, not fiery, sorry. With the fairy energy, we will not boost our damage up, but it's okay. It's still okay because the main source of income, the main source of damage will come from the Incineroar. And so the idea is to use the fairy energy and the Mina that then lets you search your deck for a fairy energy card and attach it to your Pokemon to attach 2 energies to this guy in 1 turn and then attack. And we can just find the Mina with a Pokegear if we are lucky enough. And then we are playing also 1 extra copy of the Sightseer instead of a red challenge. Yeah, that's just to explore the differences. So which work best and which works less nice, worse, which work worse. As a tool, as I said, we are using the Wishful Baton here in addition to the Choice Element and the Weakness Ball Icy. But it's a matter of preferences, really. So. Which anyone should find his own. In the meantime, let me add the energy retrieval here because I don't like the energy recycler. So that would be it for today. That would be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, leave a like and a comment and subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, because this is just the beginning of the new Unbroken Bond season. We're going to have more videos to come with more decks already ready. They are, some of them I have already ready on the online game. Some of them not yet, but we will be there. So make sure to follow us everywhere, even on Twitch. We are going to start to resume the streaming from this Monday, from last Sunday. So last Sunday, depending on when this video will be released, we will have started with the streaming again. And so make sure to follow everywhere, Twitch and Twitter as well, because there as well all the news will be uploaded from as they go, as they are, yeah, as they are. That is where all the news are going to be published when there are some. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video with the testing of this Greninja&Zoroark Tag Team GX. Bye bye.